how do you know a woman actually wants to be approached? If you follow the advice in this video, you'll finally start approaching and dating the types of women that you've always wanted to date instead of just fantasizing about them. So first, I'll cover how to tell if a woman actually wants to be approached. Then I'll give you some perspective on why you struggle so much starting conversations with women that you find attractive. And then finally, I'll give you some mindset shifts that'll help you go into every approach feeling charismatic and confident instead of walking away, feeling paralyzed and beating yourself up the entire time. I'm sure you've heard of common advice like, oh, you should wait for a green light from her. Like if she smiles at you, looks at you. A lot of videos talk about like psychology and, body language and all that stuff. But really, that's all very surface level advice. And there's actually something else we can do to determine if a girl actually wants to be approached. Back in 2014, I'm in a coffee shop. It's a Wednesday afternoon. I go to the counter to order some coffee. And as I'm doing that, I'm looking around to see what table I'm going to go actually sit down at. As I'm scanning the room, I notice a girl. Very pretty girl. She's blonde. She's sitting at a table all by herself. She's on her laptop. My heart immediately starts beating faster because I'm like, okay, she's cute. I want to go approach her, but I'm nervous about it, right? It's like a lot of people around, but I know that I'm going to do it at some point. I sit down at my table, open my laptop, and I immediately start feeling that cold approach paralysis. All those thoughts start coming in like, okay, there's a lot of people here. They're going to see me. That'll be embarrassing if I get rejected. Those people would judge me. Everyone's going to be looking at me as I walk up to her. Maybe she's really busy right now and I'm going to be bothering her. She's going to be annoyed. Everyone's going to see that. It's going to be so embarrassing that I'll have to like sit here the entire time with like everybody knowing that I'm like, what, all these stupid thoughts. But after a few seconds, I take a deep breath, close my laptop, and just start walking over to her. As I start walking up to her, I feel more badass. The thoughts kind of go away a little bit because I'm actually like taking action. I tell her, hey, excuse me, I was sitting over there. I saw you. I thought you were really cute. I wanted to come say hi real quick. And she immediately starts talking to me. She's like, oh, thank you. What's your name? And I'm like, my name is Jacob. What's your name? She tells me her name. And I'm like, can I sit down real quick? And I sit down with her. And we just start talking for a few minutes about how great remote work is, what she's doing, where she lives. I tell her where I live, what I do for a living, all that stuff. Pretty chill, casual conversation. And then towards the end of the conversation, I get her number and she tells me more guys should do this. Like not enough guys do this. And I was like, I know, it's lame. Now, what she told me is actually backed by science. According to a survey done in 2023, 70% of Gen Z and millennial aged women that took the survey actually said they wanted to be approached more often than they were. So basically 7 out of 10 women are actually open to being approached. You could assume that at least. That doesn't mean that they're gonna, go on a date with you, but they're open to it. They're open to a guy walking up to them and telling them respectfully, hey, I think you're cute. I wanted to come say hi and having a conversation with them. So really the takeaway here is don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for the green lights. Just assume that the girl is open to being approached. But you can't just assume that and approach her. Your energy and vibe does matter, which I do cover in rule number 3. But now let's talk about rule number 2. So now that you know about 70% of women are open to being approached, what do you actually say to a girl when you walk up to her? I just want to tell you first off, there is massive freedom in just telling the truth and seeing what happens. So, okay, back in 2019, I'm a junior in college. I'm 20 years old, and I have never approached a girl in my life at this point. Every single day at the university library, I see this really, really attractive girl, but she's always hanging out with friends. And at that point in my life, I did not have the confidence to walk up to a girl, especially if she was hanging out with friends and, tell her in front of everybody, hey, I think you're cute, whatever. I did not have the confidence for that. But one day I saw her sitting outside by herself smoking a cigarette. And the next day I saw her doing that exact same thing. And I basically every week would see her sitting outside by herself, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And I was like, okay, this was my shot when she was sitting outside by herself smoking a cigarette. But I didn't approach her just yet. I wanted to come up with a plan. And here was the plan that I came up with. I was going to walk up to her, ask her if I could have a cigarette. She would probably say yes because people usually say yes. I would get a cigarette. She would light it for me. I would take a puff of it when I'm standing right in front of her. I would start coughing because I don't smoke cigarettes and I naturally would start coughing a lot. She would probably start laughing a little bit and also maybe ask me if I was okay, to which I would respond, honestly, I don't smoke cigarettes. I just thought you were cute. I wanted to come say hi. That was my big plan. And I ran it by a couple friends. They said it was good. And I was like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. And I would see her outside, but I would never approach her because I started to kind of question my plan. I was like, I don't know if telling her that I think she's cute is the right thing to do. I was worried that it was like too intense. It was like too like predatory almost, you know, like here I am, you know, she's sitting by herself. Here I am, a guy walking up to her telling her, hey, I think you're cute. I felt like maybe that's too predatory. It was also 2019, which was like the peak of cancel culture and Me Too and all that stuff. So I was like, I don't know if that's okay to say. And I was kind of thinking like, I don't know how else I would start a conversation with her though, but maybe I could like walk up to her and, you know, talk to her about her shoes or something, her outfit, because she would kind of wear like cool outfits. But I was overthinking it so much, and eventually I would stop seeing her in that spot, and my opportunity passed by. That was it. The window closed. Years later, all right, I'm 27 years old now. I've approached hundreds of girls. Do you know what I would say to her now if I could take my brain, my 27-year-old brain, and put it back in my 20-year-old brain? Do you know what I would say to her? I would walk up to her and I would say, hey, excuse me, this is super random, but I thought you were really cute. I just wanted to come say hi real quick. That's it. Really just as simple as that. No long conversation building up to it. No pre-planning anything and kind of creating this whole script. Just radical honesty. The main reason for this is that you want to just get to the point, okay? Women know that if a guy's walking up to them just randomly like this, it's because he thinks she's cute. And there's no point in avoiding that, all right? There's no point in like trying to hide that and trying to be cool and be like, oh, I'm just gonna talk to her about like her outfit. Like that honestly comes off way more cringe and desperate than just straight up being like, hey, I think you're cute. I just want to, you know, say hi real quick. Telling her straight up that you think she's cute is actually very, very confident because so many guys are afraid of it. It's also not that big of a deal, honestly. Like a lot of, I felt this way too when I was younger, is that like, I felt like telling a girl that you think she's cute is so powerful. It's like as if you were like proposing to her, or that you were like, you know, putting so much pressure on her. And it's like, it's really not that big of a deal. Women actually like being desired. And if you do it respectfully, which, hey, I think you're cute, I wanted to come say hi real quick, is very respectful. Okay, you can't go wrong with that. Women, for the most part, appreciate it. There's going to be always some girls that feel like kind of weirded out by it. And if they feel like there's a lot of pressure being put on them, that's the minority of women from my experience. Most women will be generally open and okay with it, bare minimum. And that doesn't mean they're going to like, you know, go on a date with you or anything. They might still, you know, say, hey, I'm not interested. They might tell you they have a boyfriend or something. But for the most part, women are okay and open to being told they're cute. They like it and they're cool with it. So don't worry too much about like telling a girl you think she's cute. You're not really revealing anything major. Treat it as like if you saw a painting and you were like, man, I like that painting. And like the artist was standing next to the painting and you were like, hey, that's a really cool painting. Like that's it. It's really just as simple as that. Telling a girl, hey, I think you're really cute. I love your outfit. Like something like that is totally chill. Here's a couple examples of what I mean.
Excuse me, hi, this is random. I was across the street and I saw you. I thought you were really cute. I just wanted to say hi.
Thank you. That's
Yeah,
nice.
I dodged traffic to come say hi to you. Hi, this is random. I was just walking by. I'm about to meet a friend, but you look very cute. I wanted to say what's up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Megan.
Hi, I'm Jacob.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How are you?
Becoming comfortable telling a girl that you think she's cute and having that be like the sole reason you're talking to a girl. Like I'm talking to her because I think she's cute. There's no other external reason at play here. That's probably the biggest milestone that you can hit on your cold approach journey. Just owning that, you know what I mean? What comes next? Well, of course, it's the conversation. What I always do and what I recommend for you is stay in the present moment, at least to start off. So you walk up to her, you tell her, hey, I think you're really cute. I wanted to come say hi real quick. She reacts however she reacts. If she reacts positively, then she's open to having a conversation. What I would follow up with is obviously going to be in the middle of something, all right? Even if she's just like standing still, like on her phone or something, she's doing something, right? She's on her way to go do something. So asking a girl what she's up to is always just a great way to like get an idea of, you know, what type of person she is. So asking her what she's up to is always a great way of figuring out like literally what she's up to. So that's going to, you know, create some conversation topics for you, but also just to figure out what type of person she is. And I just want to say real quick, you're learning a lot here, okay? Not just in this video, but all the other videos that you're watching, all the experiences that you're having in real life. You're learning how to approach a girl, if it's okay or not, how to have a conversation, how to get her number, how to escalate, all this stuff. It's a lot. And I just want to say this real quick. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. You're allowed to fuck up, okay? You're allowed to be awkward. You're allowed to be cringe. If you're really nervous and you're like literally sweating, that's okay. If you can barely get your words out when you approach a girl because you're like so nervous and you're stuttering, that's okay. You're allowed to be imperfect. Human interaction isn't perfect. And I think the more pressure you put on yourself to be perfect, the harder it's going to be to really get what you want out of this. Now, there is a certain way of doing this that maybe comes off, you know, the most confident or the most charismatic, and you will get there. All right. You will become the most confident, charismatic version of yourself. That version of yourself exists, and you are on the way to becoming that person. But just please don't be so hard on yourself during all of this. I was very hard on myself. I would beat myself up all the time if a conversation didn't go great, or if I, wanted to approach a girl, but, pussied out. I would just beat myself up for it so much. Please don't do that to yourself. Okay. I know you're watching a lot of social media about this, right? Like YouTube videos, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. You're reading Reddit posts, which honestly, please stay off that app. It's very inaccurate and people are very negative, in my opinion. A lot of times when you watch social media content, you'll see these like podcast clips of like hot girls, and the guys are always very confident and charismatic and funny, and the girls are laughing. And you feel like, okay, like I need to be like one of those guys. I need to be, like Logan Paul or some shit, like just like these Chads that are like really confident. That's the furthest thing from the truth. Okay. You could be yourself. You could be whatever you are. Okay. That is the furthest thing from the truth. Okay. So with that in mind, when you go talk to a girl, right, you tell her, hey, I think you're cute. I wanted to come say hi to you. She says whatever she says. Just follow up with, what are you up to right now? You're going to find out more about her. Maybe she's on the way to go hang out with some friends. That's going to open up some conversation topics. Conversations can go into many different paths. Okay. But just to give you one last piece of advice here is that it doesn't need to be anything too crazy. The topics themselves, it could be about, where she lives, or like what she does for work, or like what she's about to go do. You could obviously talk about yourself as well. It doesn't have to be that crazy and interesting, really, the topics themselves. It's more about, are you having a good time? Okay. As long as you're having a good time, which I know it's very like counterintuitive, because it's like you're really nervous about this. So having a good time is like, how the fuck do I do that? Just go into the interaction being like, all right, this doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just going to see what happens. The more fun you're having, the better the conversation will go. And it doesn't really matter what the topics of conversation are. It could be about anything. But if you're having fun for yourself and cracking jokes that you would make, with your friends or something, being goofy, asking her like genuinely, curious questions, asking her questions that you're genuinely curious about, saying things that are true to yourself, like being honest about your opinions, just having fun, the conversation will go a lot better. Okay. I do help guys one-on-one, but I only work with a limited number of guys. You could fill out an application down below. If you're interested in working with me one-on-one, you could fill out an application down below. Last but not least, if you want to see an approach I did in a library, that's kind of an area where a lot of guys, think about approaching a girl, like in a bookstore, at a library. Is it possible? How do I do it? You could check out this video right here. And that's it for now. I will see you next time.